welcome to Recovery in the Morning with Yakima Valley Recovery. We have some special guests here today. Let's introduce ourselves.
My name's Ryan.
My name's Sam.
I'm John McLaughlin.
And I'm Juan Orozco. Glad you guys are all here today. Now,
Thank you.
before we get started, we've talked about voice and choice in the last couple of segments, and some people have referred to drug court. Some people have referred to it. They've gone to Merit Resources. And I want to let you guys and the listening audience know that we welcome diverse opinions. We welcome people to come on and share their story, their truth, and educate us on their perspectives. And I want to give an open invitation, a public invitation to Shireen Hunt, the director of Merit Resources. Since people have talked about going to treatment, their experience there and with drug court, I would like to have an open invitation to the drug court coordinator, to Shireen Hunt, the chairman of their board, any of them to come on and have a conversation with us and talk about the fact that people are saying that they were not receiving voice and choice rights while they were there, and that how people felt like they were not being funded because they lived in a Yakima Valley Recovery House or top-notch homes. I think it's important that we give them the opportunity to educate us on their perspective. Don't you all?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Sam,
Yeah.
and we're talking about housing and barriers in the community and how people have had to overcome them.
Right.
And at times even start over because of them.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your walk in Yakima recovery?
Okay. So my name's Sam Madrigal, and I'm from Wenatchee, Washington. I was born and raised there, and I had a little bit of run-in with the law since a young age. So I was in trouble since the age of 18. I've actually only had one birthday on the streets with my freedom since I was 18, and I'm 33 years old now. So addiction has played a pretty big role in my run-ins with the law, and I mean I had a pretty much like a rough struggle with my recovery and stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm getting to that point in that age where I'm like, it's time I grow up. You know what I mean? I got to get my shit together. I gotta start doing something with myself. So this time around in prison, I got out here to the work release at Autonomous View, and I had the chance to get out and work in the community and stuff. And I know that I have problems and where my weaknesses are with my addiction. So I was actually referred to a halfway house by DOC work release.
A recovery house.
Recovery house, yeah, here in Yakima. And the one thing that kind of held me back with this certain recovery house, it was just a bad situation and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of new to the recovery scene here in Yakima, but I'm noticing that it's a big community. You know what I mean? Everybody's real helpful, and the only thing that I could say was kind of a setback with these particular halfway houses were just the location overall, man. It was just a bad situation. You know what I mean? Like I was put out into a recovery house where the neighborhood wasn't the best. You know what I mean? We're in a rough part of town, and there's just like rampant drug abuse everywhere. I'm talking about like you go out any given day out on the street, let's say just to catch the bus or get to the store or something, and you could catch like 2 or 3 people burning foils on the sidewalk and stuff like that, you know? And I mean, that's rough for recovery. That's you know what I mean, triggers that come to mind and stuff like that. So I didn't last long there at that recovery house. I remember about half of the apartment complex was using drugs, and it was to the point where it's like you can't avoid it. You know what I mean? You can't ignore it, and it's just overwhelming. You know what I mean? As an addict, it's just it gets to the point where like if you don't remove yourself from this situation, you're gonna end up using drugs and stuff like that. You know? So I ended up relapsing. Was on the street for a day. and then I checked myself into Jotzi, and I think Jotzi was like the biggest turning point in my recovery. It was just something that clicked there at Jotzi, and it was just this is what I tell everybody when I go to my meetings, that something finally clicked. Like I learned where and when everything starts going to shit for me. Excuse my language. Like, just the downward spiral, the beginning of it was just something so simple as like the smallest thought in my mind. Cause like I consider myself a pretty smart guy. You know what I mean? Like, I've attended college. I have an HVAC degree. You know what I mean? I'm currently enrolled for business administration. I consider myself pretty, you know what I mean, thoughtful, introspective kind of guy. You know what I mean? So, I don't know why, but it was just this time in recovery, this attempt at recovery at Jotzi, something just clicked. It was just like this little thought that had been holding me back, that I hadn't realized was the starting point of a downward spiral, which was like, okay, so I go to school and I work and stuff like that, and I've been able to maintain a job while I've used drugs, but it eventually turns into just negativity. You know what I mean? Like, I end up losing everything. I end up getting out of control, and it was just that one thought that, like, I could use and keep being responsible, which isn't the truth. You know what I mean? You can't ever use and continue to do anything positive in your life. You know what I mean? It's just the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, it's the beginning of a downward spiral. You know what I mean?
So you relapsed there, went to Jotzi,
Sorry.
and then what happened next?
I relapsed, went to Jotzi, and then, you know what I mean, I had that epiphany that I was just talking about. You know what I mean?
Aha moment.
That
right?
aha moment, you know what I mean? I caught on. I was like, okay, you know what I mean? This is where I'm starting to fail before I even start, you know what I mean? So as long as I nip that at the bud, I'm good. Well, I had a cool counselor. His name was Ty, and he was there at Jotzi. Hella cool guy, man. And he actually knew Juan, so he was telling me he knew about this top-notch recovery house. And he was telling me, he's like, look, man, it's a super nice place. It's a little bit more expensive than the other places, but it's in a nice part of the neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's away from the rough areas. Excuse me. And sure enough, I got in contact with Juan, and I was with DOC, so I was able to get a voucher from DOC to be able to pay for the monthly the fees. So it's funded by the state. But the thing about this halfway house was, like, just the atmosphere was a complete 360 compared to the one I'd been to previously. It was just JP here was part of the people that were there when I got there. They received me like a brother, you know what I mean? It was like a family like atmosphere, and it's just completely different. It's a nice part of the neighborhood. It's in a nice part of town, nice neighborhood, you know what I mean, away from all the ugly stuff.
You're in AJ's house.
AJ's house,
Okay.
Yeah, so I originally, they put me in for
Top notch.
which is your other one in
Terrace Heights, a beautiful
right?
home too.
Right on. And I think they were full, so they shot me to AJ's house. So I'm in AJ's house on 42nd Street
Avenue.
and it's a beautiful house. It's a cool group of guys, man. They're all very supportive, you know what I mean? And it was just night and day compared to where I was at before, you know what I mean? It's just, and it makes all the difference, you know what I mean? When you get to a place and you feel welcome, you feel like you're part of the house and stuff like that, it just makes the difference, you know what I mean, in your recovery, you know what I mean? It's all the help, you know?
You know, and what's interesting is the housing guys from DOC or whoever, they got these huge caseloads.
Yeah.
So they look for an opening and try and get you in their best, you know, try and do the best they can to place you in a good place. But a lot of times they don't know the situations in the house, what's going on. So I always tell you guys, it's very important to use your voice.
Right.
And to know that you have a choice in where you live, and to a large degree. And so I would tell people, if you ever come into a house and you're in a bad environment, speak up.
Yeah.
Tell somebody else.
Right.
Okay? And so you're doing good now.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's been great ever since I got to AJ's, man. I'm working on getting a good job with the nice size corporation in the field that I work in. I'm currently enrolled in YVC. I'm working on my business administration degree, and I'm
Good for
doing
you.
great, man. Hey, no thoughts of relapsing. You know what I mean?
No.
No thoughts of messing anything up. You know what I mean? I'm in a good environment, and like, I mean, I have to say it's thanks to Juan, man. Like he set up a good environment with the houses he's set up, and I mean, I haven't heard a bad story really coming out of Juan's houses and stuff. You know what I mean? Like most of these guys are getting it together, getting successful. You know what I mean? Getting to be successful. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Working on the recovery and like getting their own place eventually and stuff. You know what I mean? But that's the goal for me now. You know what I mean? I'm gonna stick around at AJ's house. I feel like I finally am making the right steps in my life, in my recovery, and the next step is just get my own place, man. You know what I mean? And continue to do that.
We're glad to have you. We're really happy to have you.
Thank
Well,
you.
And
Sam,
you
Appreciate
you
it.
know, you're also part of that success story now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I
You're
told
one of them. You're one of the residents, and your success story is part of the whole
and like I tell everybody,
picture of Juan's success
and
story.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
man. Thank
people
you.
saying thanks to me, but but just so you know, man, it's a lot of us. It's our whole family. It's every houseman, every person that together, we're like those gears in a clock, and they turn.
Right.
And they work with each other. We
Yeah,
work
yeah.
together really well, and it takes all of us to do it because certainly I couldn't do it alone.
No, okay.
And so we're really glad you're here. You know, we have JP here,
Yeah.
John, and you're also in
What's up,
college
Juan?
and working. Would you give us a rundown for you? What's your journey been like since you got into recovery? And also I want to mention you went to Johnsey. I've been volunteering my time to go to some of their meetings there for over 30 years.
Okay.
Right? They used to be in Yakima, and we used to go there. I think it was Thursday nights back then. It might have been Thursday nights. And we'd go there just to be supportive. So since it was in Yakima and then in Buana, we'd like to give a little bit of our time. We've always been very supportive of the great work that they do there. And for many years, I've referred people there, and I even had a family member. My brother went there, and I can't say enough about the good work that they do at Johnsey.
You know, a lot
absolutely.
of your residents, Juan, have come from Rabjati.
Yeah, yes, they have.
There's I could say at least 4 that are from.
Yeah, so
I'm,
JP, that's where I
additionally,
met
I'm
you.
one.
What's happening? Talk about yourself and your.
My name's
your
John.
travels.
I'm a 30-year plus addict. Johnsey was my second treatment center. So I went to Sundown and learned a lot of stuff from that place. But graduating, I thought I had it, you know. Thought I had it, thought I could go back home. I knew I had this. Oh, yeah. Like all first-time addicts that go into treatment, as from what I hear and what I've witnessed, is that they go in, and then they come out, they graduate, they think they have it. Oh, I got this. I know everything. I got back to the west side of the mountain. I relapsed within 24 hours. 3 days later, I was back in Johnsey doing another 28.
Thank God they took you.
You know, yeah. Well, part of what Sundown taught me was, I guess I'm gonna relapse. A lot of, from their teaching was that a lot of first-time recovering addicts relapse.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't come back because their relapse goes on for years, months,
That's scary.
until death.
Or they die, yeah.
And I'm thankful that my higher power gave me the chance to 3 days later after my relapse to get into Johnsey. And like Sam said, something in there clicked. I don't know what it was. Something in there clicked besides, and that didn't click in Sundown. And like you said earlier, Juan, you have people that go in there every week and share their story of their recovery outside of treatment, and also underneath your foundation.
It's attractive, yes.
And which I met Corey. I met Shane. I met Jeff. I met you. I met a lot of the brothers that I deal with on a constant basis in Yakima Valley Recovery. Corey, Corey had the first. He was the first person in recovery that gave me hope.
Good.
He's the one that believed in me when other people didn't, or didn't think I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one that gave me the hope that we always talk about in recovery, hope, strength and hope. And because of his strength and the hope for me, he saved me a bed at one of your old houses, Vincent's house. And that was the first house I got into underneath your foundation. Yeah. From there, I am now assistant manager at my personal opinion, the nicest, the best recovery transitional house in the Yakima area. And the brotherhoods that I try to instill inside that house, like Sam said earlier, when he walked through the door, I was one of the first people to make him feel welcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need in recovery, a brotherhood. I don't need a babysitter. I need a brother, because that brother is the person I'm going to need to lean on when I'm having a hard time. And that brother is going to be the one that's going to lean on me when he's having a hard time.
Right. So you got into the house, and then did you go to IOP, or what was your?
I went to IOP at Merritt. And speaking of, I also had a couple other brothers in there from Vincent's house. And when I first got in there, it was, they give you their spiel of what they offer for new patients coming into IOP. Rent assistance, mental health, did counseling, first of all, for OP, IOP, and other services, which I didn't really pay attention to. But the rental system was because,
It's a challenge.
That's one of the biggest stressors for us addicts outside of inpatient. And
You can't do that here.
and so, of course, I'm sitting there, and I applied for rental assistance, and I put down your address, and no, I get denied.
You mean they told you that you qualified, and then you told them where you're living?
Denied.
Did you tell them it's Walker accredited?
Yep.
Wow.
So I was actually denied 4 times, actually. And then right before I graduated IOP, I married. We had a whole brand new group. So I'm hearing the spiel again of what they offer. And the counselor I had literally spills house rental assistance. And when I ask, there's 3 other people that are sitting around me that are going, well, I get rental assistance, why don't you? So I asked, why do people in this group get help with their rent, but you guys have denied me 4 times? Couldn't answer me, not one bit. And it made me mad.
How did it feel, though? I mean, how did it feel to you?
Like I was being like almost like a
Discriminated, huh?
yeah. I felt like someone being racially discriminated.
Well,
like,
it's interesting because, when you're in a group, you want to feel a part of. And how did it feel that everybody else was getting a type of service that you weren't getting, that you
like I was no good. Like I'm not worth it.
Wow.
I'm
sorry to hear that, because years ago when Dave Wilson ran Merit Resources, they changed the face of recovery. They were so inclusive. They helped so many people. Merit's name was like gold around here under Dave Wilson. And I don't know what's happened, but I'm sorry you were treated that way.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I guess.
So what did you do? I mean, what did you say?
Well, I went to. I stayed at Merit. I guess it's me being stubborn.
They're not going to run me out.
So I'm going to show you. I don't need your help to make myself better. You know, I guess that's a addict trait that I still had while I was fresh out of inpatient. But yeah, I didn't need their funding. I didn't need the rental assistance.
Or you needed it, but you weren't getting
I
it.
needed it, but I've
Well, we helped you too during that time.
always, you're always helpful. You know,
We had, we had no choice at that point but to help you and house you because it wasn't your fault that you were being denied access. I think you even wrote letters, right? They never responded to any of the letters.
never responded to me. I've never heard back from them. And then
I sent them emails, which I still have copies of, and they never got a response.
Not even
Yes,
not
it was-
even a sorry.
Yeah, what is the qualifications? Did they qualify? And if so, if they qualified, can you give a written explanation as to why didn't they receive funding? And nobody would answer any of the letters.
Nothing.
So we tried to advocate on your behalf.
Yeah.
You know, what seems kind of messed up is that Merit being a recovery treatment center, you know what I mean?
Actually, a big entity in the Yakima area.
You would think that if you had the opportunity, if you presented them with the opportunity and said, look, I want to get into this place because I feel like it's a better situation for my recovery, that they would be willing, you know what I mean? That they would be like, okay, cool, you know what I mean? Like, look, this guy has a good opportunity to get into a nice place that's going to help his recovery.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That would be an incentive for Merit to want to help, but...
Weren't one of you the ones, were you one of the ones where they said, we'll help you if you move to another house?
Yeah. If I moved somewhere into Yakima, out of Wapato, where Vincent's house was, you move out of Wapato, move into the
Any other house but ours?
any other
Please?
house. It was, but
Because I remember you saying, well, I'll move to Top Notch, and they said no. So it's basically if you move out of...
just out of your house,
That-
any one of your houses.
And weren't you going to Merit in Wapato?
Yes. Oh,
So-
well, it was
It was
the
open at the
Toppenish one.
Toppenish, right?
Yeah.
But they'd fund you if you went to Yakima, because...
If I went to Yakima.
But Wapato's closer to Toppenish than Yakima is.
So, which means I would have went to a Yakima house and would have to transfer to the Yakima main Merit facility
Or go back and forth.
or go back and forth, which I didn't have a car, which I don't have a car. So, you know, I mean, it would have made it very difficult. So it was kind of like, here, we'll stick you in a rock and a hard place, and now we'll see how good you're going to survive
See if you get crushed
Kinda thing.
between
Yeah,
the rock
you
and the
know.
hard place.
and see how good your recovery really goes. You know, but because of you, Juan, you know, I was told by Corey, I was told by you also, we don't kick people out if they're doing what they need to do. We'll find you the funding. We'll help you find that funding. We'll help you. We'll help you. And you know what? You, Corey, everybody that had helped me and has a finger in my recovery, from your foundation and the houses that I stayed in, they all bent over backwards, which is, you know, that is something you don't get in your addiction or from people on the streets.
It's
So
It's interesting. And now you're doing what with your life? You got two big things going on.
I just started I'm a month into my job. I've graduated high school.
You got your
This summer, I on the 9th, I graduate. I actually walk with my high school diploma.
good.
I'm taking college courses. I'm going to be a SUD counselor. I'm your assistant manager at AJ's house.
You know, it's interesting because I'm glad you're going to get your counseling certificate, because the recovery community needs people with your life experiences that have faced and overcome these barriers. Yeah, you mentioned Johnsy. Johnsy has done a wonderful job for so many years. But at the same time, like you said, you went to Merit. They denied you access to funding while they were giving people right in the same group for the same funding. But I also want to be fair and open and openly invite the director of Merit Resources to come down here and have a friendly, open dialogue about why these decisions were made and why are they continuing to be made.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean-
And so that we can get a better understanding of, number one, was there some kind of misunderstanding and the paperwork? Did the people qualify? And if they did qualify, then why not? And if people are being denied access to state services under the threat of withholding funds, who deals with that next? But I
True.
really want to thank you, and I'm real proud of the work you're doing. You're
No,
looking
thank you,
sharp.
Juan.
You're going to college. You're helping people around the house. You're helping to manage a 4,700 square foot beautiful
Yes.
home in a beautiful
Gorgeous.
neighborhood, right up by the aquatic center.
Yep.
And now we have another friend of ours here,
Another
Mr.
one of the
Ryan.
management team.
Ryan, you're originally from Las Vegas,
Yeah, I'm from
Mi-
Las Vegas. I came out here a little over a year ago.
and you went to Johnson, right?
Yeah, my other story is kind of similar to JP's actually. Yeah, I started off at Jossie, and when I was getting out, they were referring me to different places where I could, go different sober living houses and different places to do IOP treatment. And the one that they were pushing on me most was the Merit Resources in Triumph. So when I did get out, I got into Top Notch Homes with you, and I went down to Merit to sign up for my IOP. And like JP was saying, they were telling me like all the different things that they've got, as like sign-on bonuses with them, such as rental assistance and counseling and things like that. All stuff that I needed. So I was like, yeah, great, okay. So I signed up for all the stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't matter, what house I'm at, just any sober living recovery house here in the Yakima area.
As long as there's Walker
as
accredited.
long as it's accredited by the state. And they're like, yeah, anyone, blah blah blah. So I'm like, all right, cool, So I get all my paperwork turned in, and I go back in like 2 days later for my intake evaluation meeting or whatever, and they're like, yeah, we just have one problem, it's the address you're at. I'm like, what do you mean the address I'm at? Like, that's a recovery house here. It's advertised at Jotzi, like at many different, what I'm saying? Like, it's just right next to the other ones on the flyers, you know what I mean? Like,
Walker accredited.
Why is this one? She's just like, oh, we're not working with them at the moment. And I was like, what do you mean you're not working with them at the moment? I was like, you will later though, or what? How's that going to work? You just got to wait till it gets approved or what? And they couldn't answer the question for me, And I was like, why not? And like I said, there was no answer. They just said the management is not working with them at the moment. And I was super disappointed, and I really didn't have too many other options though. I wasn't going to move the house that I was at.
Did they ask you if you wanted to move? Did they offer you a different housing?
Okay, yeah, in a way, they didn't say, like, tell me that I had to move, but they said that if I did, and I went to a different house in town, like in the city or whatever, what else is it? Like one of the Oxford houses, one of the Alpha houses, just anything that wasn't one of the houses that you own for whatever reason.
Right.
That the funding was there for them. There were other people that were signing up that were getting approved for funding that lived at those houses, and so like one of my thoughts was like, what, like, okay, it's like at the time it was like maybe $150 more than those houses. I'm like, okay, is it too much? So I was like, what if I can come up with the $150? Will you pay as much as you pay towards those houses for them towards mine, you know what I'm saying, to help me with my rent? And like they wouldn't budge. There was nothing, there was no give.
You know what I did at that time? Because they said, here's houses are too expensive, houses are expensive. So to take away that argument, I sent them a letter lowering the price to
Yeah.
match the other houses,
Yeah.
and they still said no.
Still said no.
Exactly.
Said no.
And I wanted, so then if the price is not the problem,
Yeah, that was just an excuse to make us quit asking questions, I think, at the
Yeah.
time, basically. Yeah, and it was messed up, man. But that's where I had been recommended to go. You told me as long as I was in IOP, I was doing the right thing, that everything was going to be all right. You'd work with me. We'd make it work.
We'd figure it out, yeah.
We would figure it out. I had some family back home in Vegas that was super happy that I was doing the right thing finally and in the right place. They were willing to help me out a little bit, you know. And I was also signing up for some other avenues, just like funding through different places throughout town and stuff, to just get whatever help I could, since I wasn't getting anything from Merit. And it's like, I don't know.
How
Like
did
JP
it
was
make
saying,
you feel when you were in
yeah,
group?
it made it feel like there was something wrong with the house I was at. Like I was doing something wrong by being there, because like out of the 15 people that are in my group, let's say 9 or 10 of them were in recovery houses. You know, the other ones maybe had their own place or staying with their parents or something, you know. But everybody else that was in a recovery house there was funded. Theirs was paid for the whole time they were there. You know what I mean?
Now,
And I was literally the only person in my group that was doing everything that everybody else was doing, but I wasn't getting the same treatment as them, you know?
Now, let me ask you a question. You've been around for a while,
Yeah,
and you've probably been in other recovery houses or know of them.
100%, yeah.
And now you are the house manager of the same house they said wasn't willing to work with.
Yep.
Could you describe your house and how it compares to other houses in the area?
Oh, man. Like Sam was saying, our houses are beautiful, and we're located in Terrace Heights just far enough outside of town to where when I go outside and I can take a walk for 3 miles in either direction, I'm not going to see a drug transaction go on. I'm not going to have anybody ask me if I have anything or if I want anything. And no one's going to try to steal my bike, you know?
Yeah.
Also, you don't hear
Yeah,
ambulances
you know,
or fire
ambulances,
trucks
gunshots,
running. Yeah.
none of that stuff, man. It's peaceful, you know, and when you walk into a house like that, and it is nice and it's inviting and it's open, and you feel, you know, you're worth you're worth that house. You know, I can be here like this. It makes you kind of want to step up and rise to that level. You know what I mean? And I mean, if you're surrounded by people that are using and filth, it's kind of like if you keep a clean room, you know, and there's not clutter and your area is nice, like you feel good. Like
Right.
it kind of reflects like your day. You know what I mean? Like, so if you go home and your house is beautiful and it's clean and the people there doing what they're supposed to be doing and it's well oiled and functions properly, like it kind of reflects that in your day-to-day life as well. I feel anyways.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Well, you know something, when you walk in your house, you walk in the front door, you see marble counters, you see custom fireplaces, big screen TVs, brand new furniture, laminate flooring.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole house is like that, right?
Yeah.
Custom bathrooms, tiled to the ceilings, and beautiful laundry room, and ample. I mean, everything, right?
Yeah.
And so we know that we are, if not the best or top of the line choice for people getting into recovery in Yakima. Okay, and nobody has ever walked in our house and say, "Oh my God, this is terrible." They walk in our house and say, "Oh my God, I didn't know houses like this existed."
That's all I ever hear. Yeah.
Yeah, they walk in.
It's
They say, like,
beautiful.
"What did you think the first time you walked into our house?"
Man, I thought it was beautiful, man. It was nice.
You know, you're
It's a
living in a
luxury home, man. I went from living down on Cherry Street. The apartments were just run down, man. So like compared to those apartments, man, I'm in a luxury home, you know.
The house is 3/4 of a block long. It has 4,700 square feet.
Yeah.
Marble counters, mahogany cabinetry.
Yeah, it's nice.
Sinks that are imported from Italy, chandeliers.
Top of the line appliances.
Top of the line appliances, and they're saying one counselor there reportedly, and it was documented at the time, said to one of the guys trying to get help, "You don't need. It's not important for you to have a beautiful house when you're new in recovery."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, come on, were you ever new in recovery?
Yeah.
Did you ever live on the street? That somebody said it was too far to walk to the bus. I said, you probably never needed recovery then. If you think that, because most drug addicts or alcoholics will tell you, man, I walked across town for a hit. In the winter for a drink. Okay, but to tell a newcomer, hey, buddy, you don't want to walk too far for your recovery.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That is amazing, right? And
But
so,
then, you know, Juan, your foundation, from what, you know, I've seen a couple of the other houses from the outside. Never been on the inside of these other transitional
I have.
recovery houses, but I've heard stories. And they're all stories, so I can't really say what I've heard. But
I feel like I needed a tetanus
I know
shot when I
from
left.
the outside, if we're just judging the outside alone, you're setting a standard of recovery housing that is, they're a couple levels away from these other places, and they need to step it up.
well, there was this
Literally.
case. There was this case in New York about a slumlord many years ago, where the judge made the slumlord go live in his own apartment complex. Come off of the top of the hill.
Yeah.
I would like some of these treatment center directors.
Yeah, you go stay in there.
You go stay in the hood. You go stay down there and walk and not only live there. We live there without a car for a month.
They'll end up in
Walk
detox.
to the store at night to Safeway.
Yeah.
Walk down to Highs at night.
Yeah.
Walk through that neighborhood cut through the alley too.
Walk to go to your own treatment.
Exactly. We walk to the treatment. One guy said, the worst part of town is when I'm walking to the treatment center.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, again, I invite the director of Merit Resources, their board chairman, their drug court coordinator, come down and talk to us about the fact why people were not being funded and why they're still not being funded. We have somebody in drug court right now, that's one of our residents that's going to Merit right now and has not received 1 penny.
Not one.
From any, while other people's have, whether it's drug court funding or whether it's additional funding that they received.
Yeah.
And so, and not one email has been.
And still jumping through the hoops that Merit and drug court wants him to do too.
Yeah, no matter what, he's jumping through the hoops, receiving zero funding, staying at our house, and
excelling. So
and excelling.
excelling.
But
Perfectly.
again, I invite them to come on.
Yeah.
Open invitation to come on, have a healthy dialogue about why people didn't qualify, specifically only the ones that lived in our house. Because according to the act, according to the laws passed by Washington State in connection to some of this funding that comes out for housing assistance, the requirement is that they live in a Walker accredited home.
Yours are.
We're Walker accredited
Have been since
since day
From
one.
day one.
February 26, 24.
Yeah, at every different house, right?
Yeah.
And so we're not the best at everything we do, but we work really hard to do a good job to provide safe, affordable housing. And you know what safe means to me, Sam? Safe doesn't mean to me that there's just no wires hanging out of the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Safe also means that there's nobody using in the house, that there's a
Absolutely, yeah.
live-in house manager with some significant time in the program.
Yeah.
Safe means that they can actually get up and walk to the store. I was sitting on the porch outside the house you live in.
Yeah.
For a little bit. I mean, out front talking, and these two ladies at two different times. One goes by walking her little dog.
Yeah.
Then the one goes by and hi, and then the lady. But I was surprised. One of the ladies comes across the street. Nice little older lady. She comes, can I have a word with you? And I thought, oh, gosh, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So she comes across, she said, I am so proud that you guys in there are my neighbors. And I said, really? That's nice to hear. Wait. When it snowed, that guy came across the street, and he shoveled my sidewalk.
Yeah.
And then when it snowed again, those guys, they shoveled my sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I just know that if I needed something, I go, if you need anything, there's 15 guys that'll be out here in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? There's 10 guys that'll be out here in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have practiced that good neighbor policy
Yeah.
in good neighborhoods.
Talking
And
about
I've,
right?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
spoken
yeah.
to some neighbors before that, and we've been there over a year, and they had no idea we were a sober living house.
One of our neighbors, when I met him, he has this crew cut. He's a military guy, and he kind of was not the most friendliest guy, but kind of real standoffish.
I know who you're talking about.
And later, this guy was saying, man, I've never had better neighbors.
Yeah, he's actually a really good dude.
Really nice
Yeah.
guy. And actually offered to sell me his house because he loved the work that we were doing. And so anyway, we're here and we're talking about these things, the good, bad, and the ugly. Okay, where as a community have we done good? Like I said, everybody here agrees. Jotzi, Tramp Treatment Service, are doing just spectacular work out there, right?
Yeah.
Providing great treatment. And you know what one of the things they do best, I believe, at Jotzi?
What's that?
They allow recovery meetings to come in and have recovery meeting.
Right.
Some of these other places don't do that.
Yeah.
So what happens when they walk out the door, they have no connection to the recovery community.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like getting out of incarceration. And you feel it's happened to me when I was young. Feeling I'm going to change. I walk out the door. There's nobody to connect with right then, and I fall through the crack before I get to the front door of anywhere, church
yeah,
or anything.
absolutely, yeah.
And so what happens with Jotzi? Some of these folks have seen the same people several times while they're in there, like 3 or 4 times. And when they come out, they say, our meeting, we go to this meeting or we go to that meeting. If you need help with sponsorship or any question about recovery, look me up. I live at this place. You can come and visit me there, or we have rooms. Whatever they talk about, right?
Yeah.
And so the people get out of there like you all, and you connect it, and you could go from their front door to our front door, and thrive. Same with Oxford Housing. Oxford Housing does this incredible work. They do this incredible work. They have their houses. They have their own way of running their houses, which works for them. One size doesn't fit all, right?
True.
And so they've done this incredible work throughout the country, and we do good work.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people, and the people that come here to Valley Health and Recovery, Valley Health and Counseling, connected with our housing, man, people are being sober a year, 14 months, 18. Then you look at some of our folks that live in our houses, they go to Barth Clinic. Barth Clinic is an example of 3 generations, from the grandfather Harry to the son Jim to the daughter Megan. They have 3 generations of a family who has served the recovery community, who have helped countless people get better, and also provide really beautiful quality recovery housing. They have a men's house and a women's house. Good for them, right?
Yeah.
There's never going to be enough housing to help everybody that needs it. Okay, but it doesn't make any sense in the world for where there's quality housing for any treatment center or any drug court system to be telling people not to go to some of the safest places in town.
Right.
You have Sanctuary First, where they have this beautiful women's house and are not receiving any referrals.
Right.
But you got other people being referred to bad neighborhoods. It's almost like it's a system set up for people to fail and return right back into the treatment circle.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And so it's important for we talk about these things. We talk about the good work that's being done. It's important to talk about the barriers. If we don't say there's barriers, how can we knock them down? And again, it's open. It's important that we as a community be open to dialogue, even with those that don't agree with us. That's why I continue to say I invite Shireen Hunt from Merit Resources to come and have an open dialogue here and talk about why you guys didn't get services.
Well, not even that. Let's see if we can sit down and talk and maybe fix that barrier and break that down so now all people can get equal treatment from Merit
and
to our residents underneath Yakima Valley Recovery.
And for some of the folks that went for several months who qualified and didn't get it, are they willing to make amends to them? I mean, in recovery, we learn to make amends to people when we harm them.
For me, a sorry would just be suffice. Suffice right now because I've excelled, I've moved on,
and a commitment. But I mean, you can't speak for everybody, but for you, it's true.
Yeah, for me,
and really to stop the behavior. If there's anything wrong, which is still yet to be determined, but we have a list right now of 17 more people because we had 20. There's 3. We have a list of 17 more people that want to come on here and tell their stories, and all their stories are similar. All their stories have the same thing. I went there. I applied for services. People next to me, as long as they lived in other houses, got assistance, but we didn't because we lived in your guys' house.
And it's a shame, because that's going to detour people who could be going there. And I mean, they do have some wonderful counselors there, and they do a good program. You know what I'm saying? I can't say they don't. I can't say all of them are, but I don't know. I've only had experience with a few, but that's going to detour people in the future from going there because they don't work with everyone.
And also, it is. And also, when I was new, I didn't know the difference between recovery and treatment. I thought it was all one system.
Yeah.
Did you? I didn't know there was a difference. I thought treatment and recovery, I thought they were all connected somehow because I didn't know. I never learned about recovery before, and so when people get denied and somebody else next to them is getting accepted, I mean, I've heard a guy say, you know what, if that's recovery, I don't want nothing to do with this. And we said, no, that's not recovery.
Or also, not everybody has a drug problem. A lot of their drug problem comes from a mental disability, too.
Yeah,
so this person next to me who did like the same drug or drank the same alcohol is getting funding, but I'm not. What's wrong with me? But now that mental disability starts making it's your fault.
Right. Well, and the thing is for you qualified.
Yeah.
You qualified.
Yeah.
Now we've invited We have other people coming, and we got some people from the state of Washington, from Olympia, from other places who have committed to getting on the show to talk about voice and choice, to talk about people's right to choose where they live, to talk about the Fair Housing Act, to talk about human rights, right? We're trying to get a couple of the governor's commissioners from different. I'd like to get somebody in here from the Commission on Hispanic Affairs and also from the Human Rights Commission to come in and talk about your rights as human beings seeking United States citizens living in Yakima, Washington, seeking to access funds that were approved by our state legislators. And I think the more education we get for everybody, the better we'll be. Oh, yeah. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank you for having the courage to step up.
Thank you for having us.
And tell your truth.
Thank you for your help.
Okay. All right. Well, another session ends from Yakima Valley Recovery Podcast.